Today, I'm going to be reading, reacting to, and rating your music hot takes. And at the end of the video, I will also share and defend my hottest take. So a little while ago, I made a community post asking for your hottest takes on music, the music industry, etc. And it actually got a lot more comments than I was expecting. If you didn't get chosen for this video, or even if you did and you have more hot takes, feel free to leave them in the comments of this video. I might make a sequel to this one if it goes well. That said, there are going to be 5 tiers of hotness that I'll be rating you on for this video. We're going to have the 3 tiers in the middle, hot, warm, and cold. And then we'll have 2 bonus tiers. We'll have the absolute coldest tier, which is going to be the Drake tier. This is not Drake hate. Drake is just probably the most mainstream rapper to ever do it. So if you're submitting mainstream looking takes, you're gonna end up in the Drake tier. Plus, he calls himself the Iceman. Like, it's the coldest tier. On the other end of the spectrum, we'll have the hottest tier, the make it make sense tier. Because 1, your take is so hot that it doesn't even make sense. It's completely incomprehensible to a normal human. And 2, my song Make It Make Sense is the hottest song that's ever dropped. If you haven't listened to it, music video in the description. Check it out. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get to the first take. Auto-tune is the best sound a voice can have. It works all the time, and I don't care if it's used stylistically or as a crutch. Keep it cranked all the way. So for these takes, I'm going to say how hot they are. I'll put them on the scale, but I'm also going to give my personal opinion on them on whether I think they're true or false, which has nothing to do with how hot I think the take is. I love autotune. This comment has the keys to my heart. I absolutely love it. I agree. Keeping it cranked all the way usually sounds really good. And as far as autotune being the best sound a voice can have, like, I don't know, man. Like, I honestly really like the sound of autotune on pretty much everyone's voice in pretty much every situation. I feel like if you go out in public and say this to a normal person, like, there's still a lot of autotune hate out there. There's a lot of people who think autotune is purely used as a crutch, who think it has like no artistic value whatsoever. Like, ask anybody over the age of 50, there's a pretty good shot they hate autotune. I'm gonna put this take in the hot tier, and the reason I'm gonna do that, if you had just said autotune is a good sound, I think that's actually a pretty mild take. I would probably put that in the cold tier, but you specifically said it's the best sound a voice can have and that you want it all the time. I think that is a pretty fringe hot take, and it also happens to be a take that I mostly agree with. So yeah, all in all, hot take, and you're already getting me flamed in the comments. Let's keep going. The Forever Story by JID is a classic and will be remembered as the best hip-hop album of the 2020s. Interesting. Okay. I appreciate this album. I've listened to it a couple times, and it's good. Like, I have no hatred for this album whatsoever. And it's one of those things where, like, you know, everybody's got their own personal tastes for what is just gonna stick in their heads more. And for whatever reason, the Forever Story hasn't been one that I've like come back to and put on loop like that. But when I've listened to it, I've always enjoyed it. And maybe this is because of the circles I'm in, which are like, you know, music fans, like hip hop heads and stuff. I feel like this isn't really that hot of a take. I feel like everyone appreciates the Forever Story. Best hip hop album of the 2020s is kind of a hot take because we're only in 2026. There's still plenty of time. Plus, there have been a lot of other great albums that have dropped this decade. It's kind of silly I'm making this video about hot takes because personally I hate rating and comparing music. I don't like that aspect of music discourse. I really think all music is good, which we'll get to. I really think all music is good and has value and can stand alone, and it doesn't matter if it's like, if this is better or this is better. That said, for me personally, The Forever Story is not the best album of the 2020s, like for my personal playlist. Naming a few of my favorite hip-hop albums of the 2020s so far, Heroes and Villains by Metro Boomin, Utopia by Travis Scott, Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clips, Blood Lux by Slayer. Holy shit, y'all. Blood Lux, amazing. Go listen to it if you haven't already. It's so good. Heartstone Psycho by Don Toliver, and You Deserve the World by the one and only DG the Artist. I think that might be my favorite, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna put this take right in the middle. It's a warm take. The only reason I'm not putting it in cold is because you said best album of the 2020s and the decade's not even over yet. So that feels a little presumptuous to me, so warm. I have no idea how people unironically listen to Ken Carson, skull emoji. I think Ken Carson's pretty cool. Like, again, he's one of those artists where, like, I listen to him and I respect what he's doing, but a lot of it hasn't really, like, clicked for my personal playlist yet. I think having no idea how people unironically listen to Ken Carson is not actually that hot of a take, though. I feel like there is a whole contingency of people around the world who think that like auto-tune rage rap is nonsense and terrible. That said, most of those people probably don't know who Ken Carson is. They're not in circles who listen to Ken Carson. And based on your comments, you know, that being your music hot take, I feel like you're probably surrounded by people who listen to Ken Carson and you just don't get it. So I'm going to say in your circles, this is a hot take, but I think in general, I don't know, I'm going to say cold. I think this is a cold take. Like you're basically just saying, I don't like this artist. And I feel like you could replace Ken Carson with any artist, and it's not that hot of a take because every artist has haters. For me personally, do I agree? No, I don't agree. I think I understand how people listen to Ken Carson. I listen to some Ken Carson, and I appreciate it sometimes. Playboi Carti is the most influential rapper of the past decade, and it's not even close. Now, okay, I've been pondering this take ever since I got the notification for this comment a few weeks ago. And it's really interesting because it feels to me, it deeply in my soul feels like a hot take. Like I feel like Playboi Carti is always an underdog, perpetual underdog sort of rapper. And so it feels absurd that Playboi Carti would be the most influential rapper of the last decade. But upon thinking about it, like, okay, anybody else, anybody who's more influential than Playboi Carti, in my opinion, anybody who's more influential is not from the past decade. And anybody from the past decade is not more influential. Okay, let me talk you through what I was thinking. Like, first things that come to mind, Young Thug, Future. They're not from the past decade. Like, yes, they're rapping in the past decade, but they didn't like blow up post 2016. You know, they were from before then. Chief Keef, super influential rapper. He blew up before 2016. Migos also blew up before 2016. Like all the people who influenced the modern trap sound, like all those names I just named, pre-2016, so they don't count. Now, thinking of influential rappers between 2016 and now, obviously, Playboi Carti, he like basically created the whole rage subgenre. Lil Uzi Vert, super influential rapper. I feel like you would be hard-pressed to find a modern rapper who doesn't take some influence from Uzi. That said, I think Carti's influence is a little more direct. Trippie Redd is like not nearly as huge a name as Carti or Uzi, but also super influential. But still, I don't think as influential as Carti. Juice WRLD is probably the biggest rapper I've named so far. Really influential, but also I feel like the influence is so much more clearly in the Carti direction than in the Juice WRLD direction. And so after going through all these names, I realized, wait, there are other sides of rap too than just rage. And I thought about Cardi B. Cardi B blew up in the late 2010s with banger after banger, and I feel like lately, a lot of the rappers who have been thriving are women, and I feel like a lot of them are inspired by Cardi B. Megan Thee Stallion, Lotto, Glorilla, Sexy Red, Ice Spice. I mean, I don't know if all of them were inspired by Cardi B, but I feel like a lot of them have a very clear Cardi B influence. And maybe it's just that Cardi B was influenced by Nicki Minaj and they all have a Nicki Minaj influence, but I don't know. I mean, I know there's some beef there too, and I don't want to get into it. Maybe this is my hot take for the video, but I feel like the most influential rappers of the past 10 years are Carti and Carti. That said, I think Playboi Carti's influence is like way more direct than Cardi B's influence. Like you can hear Playboi Carti in all the rage rappers of today. I don't know, flame me in the comments. I really wanted to make this one a hot take, but like after looking at the evidence, this take is cold. This is a cold take. Playboi Carti probably is the most influential rapper of the past 10 years, and yeah, it's not really that close. Okay, please don't clip this one out of context. Women shouldn't have to use autotune as much as men because women naturally have a higher vocal range. The main artist that falls into the autotune slop category is Tate McRae. I understand if you're dancing and all of that, but at least make your voice not sound like a robot. This is fucking insane. What? This is a make it make sense tier take. What are you talking about? Like, okay, if you just said autotune bad, that's like a cold take. Like we've been over that. That's like normal. Like a lot of people hate on autotune, but you're specifically saying autotune plus women bad, which like feels like a really roundabout way of just hating on women, which I hope you're not doing. I really hope that's not the point of this comment, but it really feels like it is. Also, what, like having a higher vocal range has nothing to do with whether or not you need pitch correction. Like, what are you talking about? This could mean two things too, like a higher vocal range as in higher pitch, which also could still need pitch correction, or a higher vocal range as in like a wider vocal range, meaning you can hit more notes, which could still need pitch correction. Like, the range of your voice has nothing to do with with whether you need autotune or not, or whether you should use autotune. This take is fucking insane. It makes me mad. I disagree if you can't tell. I think women sound great with autotune. But yeah, this just sounds like a really roundabout way to get to misogyny. I don't know if that's what you're doing. I really hope that's not the point of this. You could have just said you don't like women if that's the case, but yeah, man, I don't know. This is not it. This is a make it make sense tier take because this does not make any sense. All right, next up, this take comes from TXWatson, who is a channel member. Thank you for joining the channel. If you want to join the channel for some exclusive perks, link in the description. It's only $5 a month. TXWatson says, musician as a professional class is necessary because people need art to live. But on a much more zoomed out level, it's a huge failure of society that people in general are so alienated from artistic expression that music has become a job some people do rather than a part of everyone's life. Watson's always hitting us with the thinkers, man. I think I agree with this. It would be really nice if creative output was something that every person had access to do and had the freedom to do. But we don't really live in a society like that right now. You know, people have to basically choose, like, I'm going to be a creative person or I'm going to not be a creative person. I think I agree with that. But this is tough because if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that my job is music. And I love my job. I like that it can be a career path for people. You know what I mean? Like, it's a really cool thing to be able to do. I think where I divert from Watson's opinion here is that I think that music could be both a job that some people do and something that is in everybody's life. Like, I don't think we need to just say music is something for everybody and nobody can pursue a career in it, because then I think, you know, what about the people who want to take it further? So yeah, man, I don't know. I think this take is squarely in the middle. I think this is a warm take. I think honestly this take is just a good prompt. This is just a good discussion sort of take. I don't know if this is necessarily hot, though. In my opinion, 2016 was the beginning of hip-hop's downfall. Okay, first off, hard disagree. I mean, like, if you know my music taste, you know that, like, pretty much all my favorite rappers had their peak moments post-2016. It's weird because I hear this take a lot in certain circles. Like, anybody who's a fan of, like, 2000s or 90s rap is probably gonna say that, like, 2016 auto-tune hit, mumble rap hit, and it's like, that's the end of rap. But like, I just disagree. Like, I personally just hard disagree on that. Music evolves. Hip hop is very much still alive. There are a lot of great artists really pushing the genre forward, in my humble opinion. I still don't think hip hop has started its downfall. I think it's a very alive, vibrant genre with a lot of cool stuff going on. So for me, this is a hot take, but like in general, this take is sadly just like warm. This is a warm take. Like, a lot of people feel that way. It's very common to just hate on modern music for whatever reason. Our last take for the video, I love this one. I think I saved the best for last. Not a hot take, more of a truth take. Radiohead is not objectively better than Imagine Dragons. Music critics will say it's their opinion, but then continue to make it seem like objective quality exists with how they phrase their takes. Music is more enjoyable when you don't engage your conscious thinking and just let your subconscious do the work. Music critics live in a bubble of fleeting cultural wish-wash where what's good is based on past consensus of what's good. And I am confident the average music critic doesn't even enjoy music any more than a casual listener if you did a brain scan or something. This is coming from a perfectionist overthinker who discovered music through the needle drop as a kid and had to grow out of it. I was so far gone I had basically trained my subconscious to dislike bad music through creating negative associations. My OCD was also much worse at the time, so I'd compulsively re-listen to songs to decide whether I liked them or try to find a way to like them. Hating radio-friendly music is a skill issue because when music is playing in H&M, I'm vibing and you aren't. Obviously, opting to listen to smaller artists is always good, but it doesn't need to be the artsy progressive ones. And then they said, I just realized my take is basically the same as your starting one. My take being all music is good, period, full stop. Okay, first off, to the person who wrote this comment, are we the same person? Like, genuinely, I relate so heavily to this. I also have OCD. I also watched a good amount of the needle drop videos like long ago and realized how fucking toxic it was becoming in my head. And like, you know, I would start to feel bad for liking Gunna because the critics don't like Gunna. But there's nothing wrong with Gunna. Gunna is he's just a guy. Obviously, Gunna is just an example here. Replace Gunna with whatever artist critics don't like at any given time in history, and you have the same take from me. I personally really dislike music critics and like music criticism in general. I think it genuinely has no place in society. I think it helps nobody. And I think all it does is contribute to more negativity in the music world. Actually, making a video about hot takes like this one is very outside of my comfort zone because it feels really, really close to music critic territory. And like I've tried to be really cognizant throughout this video to not say this song is bad, this song is good, and just say like I like this song, I don't like this song. You know, stuff like that. I feel like that's a lot more okay to express than like trying to put out some objective truth about music. Look, I feel like music critics stem from a time where you had to buy an album. You know, you had to go to the store and buy an album. And so you want to know, is this album actually any good? I feel like then there's a more useful argument for music critics. Nowadays, musicians hardly get paid from anything anymore. But like, you know, you can, if you have a streaming platform, if you have access to the internet at all, you can listen to any album, any song for free. So instead of spending 10 minutes watching a review of an album you haven't listened to yet, why don't you just listen to the album, like listen to 10 minutes of the album and decide if you like it? Like, why not? You know, then you get potentially more enjoyment from new music and you actually get to create your own opinion instead of just listening to what the cultural zeitgeist says at the time. And the reason I say all music is good, period, full stop, is because I've had so many times in my life where I've hated a song and then I've grown to enjoy it. Or like I've hated an artist and then I've grown to enjoy them. Case in point, Lil Uzi Vert. Look, I got into rap around when like Migos were popping off with Bad and Bougie. You know, I was a high school kid then and that was like my first real exposure to like modern trap music. And so I heard Uzi on Bad and Bougie and I was like, this is terrible. Now, I love that verse. I know every word. Whenever I listen to Bad and Bougie, I look forward to the Uzi verse. And I love Uzi in general. Like, Uzi is one of my favorite artists of all time at this point. And it started, like I started from a point where I just didn't get it. And if I were a music critic at the time, I would have said, Uzi is bad. And I think that's bad. I think that's really bad to do that and put those thoughts out there. I don't know, you're sort of like melding the minds of your whole audience towards or against a certain artist or genre. And I think that fucking sucks. And I know, the comments are gonna come at me saying, oh, but it's just their opinion. I disagree with that framing of an opinion. An opinion is not, this song is bad. An opinion is, I don't like this song right now. Because, you know, with my Lil Uzi Vert example, you can grow and change. There have been so many songs that are on my playlist right now that the first time I heard them, I hated them. And now they're like some of my most played songs of all time. So I think the only valid takes you can have on whether a song is good or bad is, I don't like this song right now, or I like this song right now. Any song, no matter how bad you might think it is right now, it could grow on you, or if it doesn't, it could very well be someone else's favorite song. And I think that makes it good. You know, I think it's good to have more opportunities to enjoy art for more people. So more music is good. All music is a good addition to society because it might make someone happy. That said, your take is a... I don't know, man. I think it's a hot take. I think it's actually a hot take. And maybe I'm just hyping myself up here too. I think my take is hot. I think your take is hot. That, you know, that music is just good in general and that there's no difference between Imagine Dragons and Radiohead. I don't know. I think that is a hot take. And also, yeah, shout out to my fellow OCD havers who watched the needle drop at one point and it got into their heads too much. We'll get out of there, don't worry. All right, that's gonna wrap up today's video. I'm honestly really proud of y'all because I asked for hot takes and we had very few cold takes, and we didn't have any Drake takes. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, join the channel if you really like me, and also leave your hot takes in the comments because if this video does well, I'll have no choice but to do it again. I hope you all take some time today to turn your conscious brains off and let your subconscious vibe out to some dope music. Personally, today, I'm going to recommend my EP, I Quit My Day Job, with the hit single Make It Make Sense, out now everywhere. Hope you enjoyed the music. That's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.